Yesterday, before the Trump verdict swept away all of their conversations on social media, I had been involved in a debate about obesity. And here was the question at the center of this discussion on Twitter. Can you lose weight simply by eating less and exercising more? Now, if you're a sane person, this does not sound like much of a debate at all. We might as well debate whether walking is best achieved by putting one foot in front of another, or whether there's a noticeable causal link between putting your hand on a hot stove and sustaining a burn on that same hand. These do not sound like debatable topics, and yet people were debating it. Lots of people, including and especially those who fashion themselves experts. Now, it began when I posted a response to a tweet from the account Raw Egg Nationalist, and he linked to a study from 1992 finding that obese people tend to underreport the amount of food they eat and overreport the amount of exercise they get. And then they complain that they can't lose weight. They complain that they're doing everything they can to lose weight. According to the study, they're actually they're not doing the things that they claim they're doing. And so that's why they're not losing weight. And I said this. A bunch of people on here got mad at me recently because I said that literally anyone can lose weight simply by eating less and exercising more. But it's obviously true. The idea that overweight people remain overweight even with dieting and exercise is asinine. It's actually a scientific impossibility. That's what I said. Pretty straightforward, obvious, unassailable, you might think. But then came the indignant responses. Let me read there were a lot of them, but let me just read a few of them for you. And we'll start with this from metabolic health coach and public speaker Valerie Ann Smith. She posted, quote, "Asinine? What's asinine is the patronizing attitude and your poor understanding of the metabolic challenges faced by those struggling with obesity. Thankfully, we have a whole community that cares and can offer real help solutions, even in the face of your continued comments." Yes, even in the face of my comments. My comments that are such an obstacle in the way. Even with my comments, they're able to somehow find a way to continue on. How brave of them. And there are some themes in this response that we'll notice in all of the others. Like this one from a guy named Chris Cornell. I'm not mad that you appear to have no idea about the challenges faced by a large percentage of people struggling with obesity. It can actually be helpful when an influencer with such a poor understanding of an issue confidently speaks out with such patronizing certainty. It gives an opportunity for others to offer potentially helpful information. Meanwhile, a professor at Duke named Herman Pontzer, who, by the way, looks exactly like a Herman Pontzer, said this. Here, as in most of his work, he misses the point. Sure, calorie deficits will lead to weight loss. The problem is achieving that through diet and exercise is incredibly hard. So his simply is mathematically correct, but there's nothing simple about it. Also, there's this from somebody named Liz. I wish it were this simple, Matt. Even if you are thoroughly convinced you're correct, imagine for a moment what it would be like if you did eat less, weigh less, track your intake, test for ketones, limit carbs, exercise, including resistance training, and you were still obese and not losing, sometimes even gaining weight. And then imagine the judgment from others who don't believe you. PCOS, polycystic ovary syndrome, it also often causes infertility. Would you also insist that someone is just too uptight to get pregnant? Be grateful that your body works well with the efforts you make. Reward for the same effort is a gift not everybody is given. Okay. You get the idea. So lots more of those came from, and lots of people saying that I'm oversimplifying, and there's a lot of people that, in fact, someone just said to me today that there are plenty of people who rigidly stick to a diet and exercise 5 days a week and yet do not lose a single pound. That's a claim that somebody made to me. Now, there's a fundamental confusion on display with all of these people who, while suffering from this confusion, are nonetheless accusing me of failing to be a sophisticated thinker who can pick up on fine distinctions. Here's the distinction that they, and many other people with their view on this topic, somehow miss. The words simple and hard are not mutually exclusive. Just because a thing is hard, that doesn't mean that it's complicated. This is my point about weight loss. It isn't complicated. It is very simple. In fact, it's one of the simplest things in the world. Burn more calories than you take in. You will lose weight. You will. This is physics. It's a law of nature. It is true of everyone, everywhere, for all time. Okay, it's the reason why there has never been a single case of somebody being stranded on a desert island for months with little to no food, and then when they're rescued, everyone's shocked to see that they somehow have put on weight during the experience. Never happened once in history. It's why everybody is skinny in third world countries. It's why every contestant on every survival show ever has lost weight. And these examples shouldn't be necessary. If you eat less and exercise more, you will lose weight. You will. You will. Every person who claims to be an exception is lying. You are lying. You are a liar, all of you. And you know it. Well, you say that, Matt, but no, I exercised 5 days a week and stuck to a diet originally, didn't lose a pound. No, you didn't. You're lying. You're just a liar. You exercised 5 days a week consistently and didn't lose a pound? What the hell kind of exercise are you doing exactly? I mean, I guess we need to maybe we need to explain what we mean by exercise. Like, are you just driving to the gym and walking in and then turning around and leaving and calling that exercise? Yeah, if that's what you're doing, you're not going to lose weight. If you're doing any kind of like actual exercise 5 days a week, or even 3 days a week, even 2 days a week, and you're sticking to a diet, yes, you will lose weight. 100%. And if you claim otherwise, I know you're a liar, because here's how I know. Because you are a human being existing in the same reality as me, which means that you are subject to the same laws of nature that I am. And this is, again, an indisputable law of nature. Eat less, exercise more, and you lose weight. You must lose weight. You cannot not lose weight. I don't care what's going on with your thyroid, your hormones, your whatever. Diet and exercise will lead to weight loss. If you say that you've tried everything and you haven't lost weight, I know that you're not telling the truth, because you haven't tried everything, because you obviously haven't tried the one single and simplest thing that actually works, which is to eat less and move more. Is it hard? Yes. Okay, if we could move past the like, does this work question, which is so insane. It's like, the idea that it doesn't work is a fantasy on the level with the tooth fairy, okay? If we could all move past it, if you think I'm being patronizing, I'm only being patronizing about this claim that a person can actually eat a healthy diet and exercise and not lose a single pound. Yes, I'm being patronizing about that because it's insane and you're lying and you need to stop it. And you're lying to yourself most of all. But if we could move past that, if we could all just acknowledge that, yes, of course, that's how it works for everyone ever in history, then we could get to the other conversation about the difficulties of actually putting, not the complications, but the difficulties, the hardships, rather, maybe is a better word, of actually putting that into practice. Because yes, it is hard. Being disciplined is hard. Putting an effort into anything is hard. Not doing something that you want to do, like say not gorging yourself on French fries or cheesecake or whatever, is hard. And it's especially hard when you live in a society that encourages constant and unrestrained consumption in every conceivable form. You are encouraged and enabled to be in a constant state of consumption. It was a whole lot easier for someone 100 years ago to not overeat, which is also why there weren't very many fat people 100 years ago. And that demonstrates yet again the link between eating, exercise, and the amount of lard on your body. So it is hard. Yes. But I'll even go so far as to admit, because it's clearly true, that it's harder for some people than it is for others. It might be a lot harder for you than it is for me. Everyone's metabolism is different. You might lose weight you will lose weight if you do these things, but you might lose it at different rates. You might, and all that kind of stuff. There are some people who might just be like naturally more disciplined. Naturally, it might be easier for some people to follow a strict diet. Or there are people who work out a lot and they really enjoy it. And so because they enjoy it, it's easier for them to do. There are other people who might get into a habit of working out and they might stick to it for a year, but never really like it. While there are other people that go to the gym and they just love every second of it. And yes, if you love it, it's easier to do than if you don't. So like all of that is true. But it's still simple. And in life, the simple things are often the hardest. To be an all-around decent, productive, honest, hardworking, healthy person is hard. And it's also, again, extremely simple. We all know how to be that sort of person. We all know what sort of choices to make in any given situation to get ourselves closer to that ideal. If we don't make those choices, it's not because we're confused by complexities and nuances. It's because it's hard, and we don't want to do the hard thing. What you see people doing on this subject, it's the same thing that people do in so many other facets of life. They try to complicate what should be very uncomplicated. When it comes to obesity, if you can convince yourself that it's complicated, then you have an excuse to remain obese. Sure, you'd like to lose weight, but losing weight is such a complex, convoluted, tangled web. You would lose weight if only you could figure out how. If only it were possible. If only it were that simple. But it isn't, you say, so what can you do but eat another muffin and continue on with your day? This is the rationalizing that people do. They hide behind imagined complexities. They take refuge in the intricacies and complications that they've invented in their heads. It's a lie. It's all a way to avoid the simple thing. And avoiding the simple thing is now the American way. At least it has become the American way. Which is also how we've become one of the fattest nations to ever exist on the planet. And that is why the people pretending that weight loss is complicated are all today canceled. If you'd like to see what else I have to say, you can access my full show by going to dailywire.com or by going to the Matt Walsh Show Twitter page. Hope to see you there. Godspeed.